Trish Toby with WARC reporting to you live from Westchester, New York, where there appears to be some sort of mutant menace on the loose.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Ocamp.
And I'm Pat Reber.
And say it with us, Pete. Welcome to
Mutant
Menace.
Your video froze up for a second
Yes.
there. I couldn't
that
sync
was
it up. But
so fucking good, Pat.
yeah,
that was so
other
good.
than that was perfect.
Pete, if you got it too, then we nailed it.
Pete, we promised ourselves that we would just keep saying Pete until we got it right, and I think that time we got it right.
Maybe you were a little slow. We're still we might have to say Pete next time.
Okay. We we also haven't gotten anybody else's names.
Well, nobody else that just emailed us their names.
Yeah.
So, like, technically, we should be saying all the names of the people from... Hey, wait a second. What's that sound? It's Pat's Email Corner.
Oh, it's Pat's Email Corner. I did not approve this music. Welcome, Matt, to Pat's Email Corner. We got a few today. Number one comes from listener Michael, a regular in our replies these days. But Michael says, "Hey, Pat, tell Matt that a hauberk is a chainmail shirt, not the hood/cowl. That's a coif, but he's probably used to seeing people wearing both hauberk and coif at the same time and didn't know that they were two different things. And that while stamens are part of the center of a flower, he probably meant pistil. Still, I applaud his confidence while saying things he then admits he doesn't really know."
Michael, I'm glad he applauded me. Because this is podcasts. That's what podcasts is.
That's right.
You go on a microphone, you say stuff you think you know, and then you say, I might be wrong about this, so no one can get mad at you, and then they pay you $1,400.
Yeah. We have a responsibility to talk. We have no responsibility to be correct.
And we each have $1,400. But we spend it so fast.
This is the budget for the show is insane.
It's really...
Michael goes on to say, "I'll be impressed if either of you even remember talking about chain cows or the center of flowers in episode 12 by the time you get this, but it's a risk I have to take in this dangerous world. I wish you both the best and hope you take this email in the spirit of camaraderie in which it was intended and not as criticism."
Listen, motherfucker.
Michael, I assure you that we take all emails as criticism.
Okay, well, the hauberk comment was about, I don't even remember the guy's name, but that really insane looking guy from the Savage Land mutate with the crazy eyes.
They've all got crazy eyes. But yes. I assume that you're right. Michael, let us know if Matt's got the right reference here.
And if not,
pod@gmail.com.
If not, I get $1,400. So, like, it's fine either way. I don't remember why we were talking about pistols and stamens. What's the next email?
No idea. Next one comes from listener Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Subject line, "The Neil Adams of X-Men podcasts," which is a pretty intense compliment. "Very happy to see Matt do some references to Bryan Adams' Summer of '69 there and get zero reaction. Some Canadian content. I'm surprised you're not commenting on the covers. Neil Adams is hitting it out of the park, and I can't imagine how striking these would have been on the comic rack." That is a great point, Jason.
Really?
The covers were stunning all the way through that run. Also, the debut of what I think is the best Angel costume to date, and it's designed by Magneto of all people, which, given how the mutates are dressed in this arc, is pretty amazing.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think it is Angel's best costume.
And your comparison, he's talking to me now, Pat, and your comparison of Neil Adams to Frank Miller is interesting and not one I'd seen before. That's what I love to hear.
I said the same thing.
I've never heard that.
I said the same thing. Jason, me and you.
Yeah. But he clearly influences a lot of artists as we head into the 70s, including John Byrne, I'd think, which is a really good point.
Yeah, the big sort of dramatic, larger-than-life bits of action. Yeah. absolutely.
Yeah. The sun is, of course, the main source of cosmic radiation, and we know that created the Fantastic Four. So I think Scott's not too far off the mark here, referring to him convincing the Sentinels they should fly off into the sun.
But hold on, I'm still positive that's not why cells mutate.
And then he says, so glad y'all are doing this podcast. It brings me so much joy. Thank you so much, listener Jason.
Jason, thank you so much. Your email brings us joy. Legitimately. I know we're making fun, but like legitimately.
Finally, we have a very interesting email from Sinewave Sean of the Sinewave podcast. And I hope I'm saying that name right because it's Irish. Hey, Pat. Longtime listener, first-time emailer, shout out to The Very Worst, a podcast that got me through my last year of college. What an honor.
What is that?
It is a podcast that I was on about the Pokemon movies.
Weird.
Me and a couple of friends.
Sounds shitty.
No, it was awesome. Given your now encyclopedic knowledge of all the Pokemon, which Pokemon do you think the original 5 X-Men would train?
Ooh.
He does offer one example here. I think Cyclops and Psyduck would have a lot in common. Both have suffered terrible head trauma.
They just have a headache all the time. Oh, man. Okay. Why don't we go one X-Men at a time and go back and forth? So, Professor X.
Professor X and Mr. Mime.
Oh my, Pat! No way! I was
Were we
literally thinking Professor X and Mr. Mime. It is absolutely who he would pick. He's just that much of a freak. And yeah, 100% Mr. Mime.
Okay, perfect. 1 for 1. Hank McCoy.
Hank McCoy, I mean, I think something equally like pretentious. Maybe a Hoot Hoot, the owl that has glasses.
I think he'd go for something a little cuter. I think he'd like almost like a pet. Not a Pikachu though. I think that'd be too mainstream for him. Who's the cool hippie Pokemon? One of the tree one that dances.
The tree one that
dances. He just looks like a piece of bark.
Pseudo-Wudo?
Pseudo-Wudo, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I can see it.
his little assistant.
All right, I love that. Yeah, Pseudo-Wudo. Okay, Cyclops.
Cyclops, Psyduck. I think we do have that covered. That's a perfect match.
Well, I'd say either that or he'd pick one of the original starters, like Bulbasaur. Like, I think because he's just kind of bland.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Sort of a bland choice. And I do love Bulbasaur. I love Scott. I'll put them together.
He would, because he'd be like a Gen 1er. Like, he would only like the first generation of Pokemon. And he would pick the starters, just like the first one that popped up. He'd be like, yeah, I'll take that one.
Right. He'll make it work for his situation.
Yeah.
I think Bobby, Squirtle, Warren, Charmander, they're just basic. They would think they look cool and cute.
Bobby Squirtle, I like. I could also see Bobby going with like one of the Pikachu ripoffs.
Oh yeah.
Like
What's
he'd be
Pichu.
Yeah. Or I was thinking more Pico, the hamster guy who can turn evil when he gets hungry. But I'm thinking now of Pachirisu. Looks like a real Iceman Pokemon. It's like a squirrel Pikachu.
Okay, he's just looking for the cutest but still masculine one.
Right. But Angel, I this is the first thing I thought of when you said this question. Angel is. Do you know the Pokemon Sigilif?
I will in a moment.
Yeah, look up Sigilif. This is the sort of bullshit.
Oh, this is the evolution of... No, it just looks like unknown.
Yeah. It's just kind of like a shitty unknown. It's just like this flying weird thing with like floppy, I don't know, feathers off. It looks horrible. It's probably my least favorite Pokemon, and I think that is what Angel would choose. And I think he'd think it looks really cool. And I bet they're expensive.
Right. Yeah, this is a psychic flying. Here's the thing, Matt. Do you think he would be okay with a flying Pokemon? He would have to fly slower than him, right?
Well, I don't know. Everybody else flies faster than him, and he never seems bothered. He's just like, he just notes it. He's like, whoa, that guy's faster than me.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe he wants somebody that can keep up with him just as like a dog wouldn't fit Warren, right? Because
No.
the dog can't keep up with him. But an eagle.
Mm.
Well, now we're veering into exotic pets and out of Pokemon. Last one, Jean Grey.
I don't know why, and maybe it's just because it's one of my favorite Pokemon, but I want to say Sinistea, the floating teacup. What do you think?
That's a tough one. I think she would have like something that kicks ass. I think she would have.
Oh, okay.
You know what would be cool? I don't know if she would pick it, but now I'm picturing it, and I think it would be really rad. Is like a Machamp, just
Or like
a little muscular freak running around with the X-Men.
Or like she would have a legendary, right? I mean, like she's the
yeah, that's
right.
true.
So she would have like
Yeah, one of those birds. I hate those birds.
or like one of the later gen legendaries that are like gods, like Veltall or like Rayquaza.
You're getting out of my generational knowledge of Pokemon, I think.
I think some of these guys were in the movies we watched, but most of them weren't.
Okay, well, Sean does go on to say, if you're still looking for a listener guest, I've been reading X-Men for years now, and also have a podcast, Sine Waves, where we are watching all of Jennifer Lawrence's filmography, which has a bunch of X-Men in there. Apocalypse is a masterpiece of cinema, and I won't hear otherwise. You will hear otherwise if you're listening to this podcast. Okay, thank you, Sean. And yeah, I did listen through an episode of the podcast. It's very fun. Sine Waves.
Oh, wow.
Some
That's
free
awesome.
promotion on here, right?
All right, so now we have 2 people in the run, and we're going to pick real soon, I guess, because we're coming up on it. So
that's right.
Right now it's a coin flip. We have 2 people in the running.
Look out. We may literally flip a coin.
All right, well, I guess that's Pat's email corner.
The end of Pat's email corner. Okay.
All right, so.
Matt, I got to ask.
Yeah.
Did you do anything X-Men related this week?
Okay, actually, Pat, I kind of did. So, wasn't directly X-Men related, but much like the X-Men, this week, it was kind of hard for me, actually. I was in a position where I was hated and feared for the way I looked. I had a particular outward feature that was unusual, and I actually had to hide that aspect of my appearance so that others wouldn't judge and interrogate me about it. So it was hard.
Well,
I put a suction cup on my head and it left a big hickey on my forehead. Pat, you're being one of the people right now. I hope you realize.
What is this, a Daredevil podcast?
I hope you realize that you are not coming across great. You laughed. You are like Larry Trask.
I wish I could have seen it.
It was a big red circle.
Why? Why did you do that?
Pat! Jesus Christ, you can't ask that! You realize you are being one of those. You're calling me a mutant menace right now by your question.
Okay, let me ask you one more offensive question about this.
Okay.
Are you lying, and did you actually just get a hickey on your forehead?
Well, I've obliquely referenced it. I am in a new relationship. It's going very well. Mm-hmm. She does not suck on my forehead.
Is she okay with you revealing that?
That she doesn't suck on my forehead?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's absolutely okay with me telling the world she doesn't suck on the middle of my forehead really hard until it leaves a big circular red mark.
Weird that you guys discussed that, but
it was it was at her house. And she did say, I always have to tell my kids not to do that. And then I was like, why? It's not like it's gonna leave a mark or anything. Your
That's
hatred
excellent.
here is palpable. Pat, did you do anything X-Men related this week?
Matt, I also kind of did.
Mm.
Number one, I have two things here. Number one, I'm about to go on vacation, which, if my life is anything like the X-Men, means that disaster is about to strike.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's exciting. The other one is I watched a movie that I really enjoyed. It was called The Wedding Banquet, starring Bowen Yang and Kelly Marie Tran. Very cute, funny movie. I'm a big Bowen Yang fan, and with the influence this podcast has now, I think we could get this done. I think he should play Wolverine.
Okay.
He's short. He's sassy. I think we need a fresh take after Hugh Jackman played him for 20 years.
Right. Okay, he's not very hairy.
He's kind of hairy.
Well,
I mean, I haven't seen him shirtless, but like he's got arm hair.
Okay, all right.
Plus, you can fix that in post.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, Bowen Yang. I'm having trouble picturing it, but like you said, it might be like a departure.
Yeah, I think it's a fresh take. I think I want to. Here's what I'll invite you to do as we get further into the catalog of X-Men, and as time goes on and we get to meet and know Wolverine, just start reading his lines in that voice.
Okay, all right. I am looking at Bowen Yang nearly nude. He has posted pictures on his Instagram of himself in basically a thong, and he is 100% hairless, but more muscular than he gives off.
I'm telling you, he has the build of Wolverine.
Okay.
And he's also got that kind of grisly sass that Wolverine has.
All right. Bowen Yang for Wolverine. # Bowen Yang for Wolverine.
That's right. Those are my 2 X-Men related things this past week.
Okay. You watched a Bowen Yang movie and you're going on vacation. And I put a suction cup on my head. These are the ways that we are like the X-Men. Hey, Pat. We are in the Dark Ages. The Dark Era. Right? The X-Men are canceled. So one would think, Matt and Pat are just going to give up the podcast. But no, we're digging through.
Fear not.
The annals of Marvel history. What?
No, keep going.
Huh. Okay, we're digging through the annals of Marvel history, and it seems like we have found some comics with the X-Men in them. So, Pat, do you want to tell me about Marvel Team Up number 4?
Yeah, I really do, Matt. I am so excited for Marvel Team Up number 4, titled legitimately. I'm not trying to do a gimmick here. I'm giddy. Marvel Team Up number 4, titled "And Then the X-Men." And I'll pause here for a second, because if this is a team up, that means it's Spider-Man and X-Men. Why is this story titled "And Then the X-Men"?
It sounds like the X-Men are going to be in this one, though, is what I like about this title.
Stan Lee presents Gerry Conway, scripter, Gil Kane, penciler, Steve Mitchell, inker, John Costanza, letterer, and Roy Thomas, editor. Gerry Conway, Matt.
You love him. He's your boy. It's your boy.
Do love him. I'm going to take a moment to talk about him for a moment, because Gerry Conway's Spider-Man is maybe some of my all-time favorite Spider-Man. He took over Amazing Spider-Man at issue 111 when he was, we mentioned this last episode, but he was 19 years old. He had his first comic published at 16. By 19, he was writing The Amazing Spider-Man, the best performing comic. So through his Amazing Spider-Man run, he defined Peter Parker more through tragedy and personal growth, him just having to overcome some major events in his lifetime. This included Doc Ock and Aunt May getting married. Yeah. This included the death of Gwen Stacy. This included all of the times you can think of when he was very sick. He introduced the original Clone Saga, not the crazy complicated one from the 80s and 90s, but maybe just the 90s. But the original one, which is like I think 3-issue arc where he discovers a clone. He did introduce the Punisher through this Amazing Spider-Man run. He really rounded out Mary Jane. He's the reason that we got Mary Jane as like a sassy model instead of just a hidden character in the shadows throughout Spider-Man issues. Also, J. Jonah Jameson, he kind of defined the JJJ that we know today. And awesome. Flash Thompson even gave him a little more substance, and that Flash Thompson has his own whole arc that he goes on throughout history. He introduced the Spider-Mobile, which was merchandising tie-in. The company that they gave the Spider-Man toy rights to just made him a car and were like, please put this in the comics. And Stan Lee made Gerry Conway put it in. He created the Jackal, one of the iconic Spider-Man villains. And then just to put the cherry on top of his long Spider-Man career, he eventually left for DC. He got assigned to the Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man crossover, which is a book that I bought at a yard sale for $1 when I was a child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
whoa. Holy cow. You don't still have it, do you?
I don't, and I curse myself every day. I have no idea what happened to it. But a very formative read for me. Anyway.
Holy shit.
That's Gerry Conway Spider-Man. Thank you for hearing me out here. Now, let's talk about it. Release date June 20th, 1972. Cover date September 1972. Peter Parker can't stop having fever-driven night terrors. He's fighting Morbius in his dreams, a vampiric night creature, not a vampire that he recently fought. It's getting so bad that his roommate and best friend Harry Osborn wants him to seek medical attention. But Peter knows that no ordinary doctor will be able to help him, for he's Spider-Man, and with great power must also come great illness that can only be cured by a scientist. He swings off to find his old friend, Dr. Hans Jrgromsahn, who is working with Dr. Michael Morbius, whose blood, of course, was recently used to create a serum to cure Spider-Man of the 4 extra arms that grew out of his side in the 6-Arm Saga.
That's my favorite Spider-Man character, Dr. Hans Jrgromsahn.
Dr. Hans Jrgromsahn. Hans Jrgromsahn.
Yeah, my favorite.
Jrgromsahn.
He's my favorite one. Hans Jrgromsahn.
But before Spider-Man can arrive at Dr. Jrgrensen's lab, Morbius shows up, knocks Jrgensen unconscious, and kidnaps him. Spidey arrives on the scene to see signs of a struggle just as Jrgensen's landlady walks in, screams, and faints. That's the end of her. We don't see her again.
She's dead?
Maybe. The next morning, in Westchester, New York, we see Professor Xavier reading the headline, Spider-Man Kidnaps Noted Scientist. The professor, having worked with Jrgensen in the past and noting that something seems amiss, summons the X-Men to speak with Spider-Man in a seemingly out-of-character deed. He does contact Hank telepathically, who is still in human form, requests to be left to his own project. But all the others assemble. This would be right around I don't know if they timed it exactly right, but right around the time that Amazing Adventures was coming out.
So this actually was released the same month as The Vampire Machine, which you might remember from Amazing Adventures number 14.
It's Vampire Month.
Yeah, I guess so.
Back in New York City, Spidey is swinging around in a panic, feeling sicker and searching frantically for Dr. Jrgensen. Suddenly, his swinging is interrupted by a shirtless angel grabbing his web and trying to carry him somewhere. Spider-Man does not like this, takes out Warren with no issue at all, but then finds himself under attack by the rest of the X-Men. Why, he thinks. Jean finally uses her telekinesis to just freeze Spider-Man in place so Scott can explain they did all this attacking to try to talk to him. Before they can chat, though, Spider-Man passes out. They rush him immediately back to the mansion where they use telepathy to learn the whole story. 1, Spider-Man is innocent. 2, he's got a Morbius blood virus. 3, he's friends with Human Torch. 4, Michael Morbius is the real kidnapper. Wow. Back in New York City, Morbius is waiting for Dr. Jrgensen to regain consciousness, but it's been 36 hours at this point. I think the dude is in a coma. He gets impatient and goes outside to consume the blood of 2 small-time crooks. But he's not a vampire. The childish screams of these 2-bit punks attracts the X-Men, who spring into action in a brilliant 3-page fight but struggle to defeat Morbius. Finally, in a tense standoff, Cyclops wins a battle of wills and pulls off a rad ricochet shot to knock Morbius out.
Okay, yeah, he bounces his optic beams off of a mirror?
Yeah, I guess there's a mirror in this alley.
And why does this is something that's actually always bothered me about Cyclops. Why does his beams sometimes ricochet and sometimes his beams doesn't ricochet?
Yeah, you would think it just shatters a mirror.
It would just go through the mirror. Yeah, you'd think.
It's force. It's a
Yeah.
it's a force beam.
Force
But who knows? Maybe this was a bulletproof mirror. You know this?
Yeah, it probably was a bulletproof mirror.
Jean finds the Doctor through her telepathy. They all rush back to the mansion, and the Doctor is able to recover and then develop a cure for Spider-Man. Spider-Man comes to and is so happy to be cured that he kisses Jean and then jumps out a window.
Pat, that's known as defenestration.
You're right.
Yeah. Pat, who the fuck are these people?
Spider-Man is a very popular Marvel character.
No. Who are the people he's teaming up with?
The X-Men?
No, these are not the X-Men. There's no way these are the... I'm looking at them, and they're not... Scott, whoever is pretending to be Scott Summers is a young Jack Nicholson.
He's got that scrunched up face. He looks so crabby.
The person, whoever is pretending to be Jean Grey, who is that? That's a young Cher, maybe?
I love when Bobby's in ice form, they give his face all these unnatural angles. Like, it's not human head angles. They're just trying to illustrate with angles that it's made out of ice.
And that moment, he looks like remember Jack O'Diamonds?
Yes.
And Bobby, when he's out of costume, he's wearing like this weird disco shirt unbuttoned down to his belly button with like a gold chain with a medallion on it. And it's like, oh, this is where they knew he was gay. This is the moment that they were like, oh, okay, we now finally understand who this character is. Angel mostly fights out of costume, just shirtless, in like bell bottoms.
Yeah, what's the I mean, through a lot of this, they're all wearing their civilian clothes, but
which look nothing like the civilian clothes they normally wear.
Yeah, they are jumping a decade ahead in fashion. But Warren, even when they're all in costume, just shows up shirtless. That's just his thing right now.
Yeah, he's just feeling himself, I guess.
Not later. Not a year from now when we see him again. This was a phase.
He had a moment. Plus, when they're in costumes, they're wearing their old costumes. It's a weird team up. And it's not even exactly their old costumes. It's like weird versions of their old costumes.
They have ditched Jean's handmade multicolor costumes.
She must be so mad that everyone keeps doing that.
I know. Do you think they were all like, they begged her to sew them a new version of their old costumes?
Like they sit her down, Jean, we hate these. And we really want to wear costumes made by our friend. How did you feel about this whole team up?
I absolutely loved it. I loved every moment of it, from Spider-Man's emotional nightmares to I'll tell you one part I didn't like. Spider-Man at the end is so happy that he got cured that he lifts up his mask, jumps over to Jean, kisses her on the mouth, and then jumps out the window because he knows that he shouldn't do that. Spider-Man!
Like, yeah, as an apology, he shatters their window.
It's that part I'm pretty sure is just out of embarrassment. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. I like to think that he did it and then he was like, oh God, I was just acting on impulse. What a terrible idea. How do I apologize for this? There's no way I would rather just jump out the window.
It's well, she looks okay. Granted, this is just a disgusting moment of sexism on Gil Kane's part, but she looks very pleased with it. In the final
I
panel.
thought she was disgusted, but she's
got a smile on and she's like touching her lips like,
Oh, I thought that was okay. I read that expression differently. I thought she
thought that was she was holding
like,
puke.
ugh. Yeah, I thought she was disgusted. Like,
okay.
I'm with
I
Scott.
mean, she should be. A strange man dressed in a spider costume just leapt over everyone in the room, and he's webbing people as he's doing it. He webs Cyclops in the face and Angel in the chest, and then kisses Jean Grey.
Which is, it's so unattractive, right? The webbing thing.
Right.
Extremely cool, but
it's cool for us, but if you were in the room with it and he just did it to two of your friends randomly after they saved his life, you'd be like, and also you don't know if that's coming out of his human body or not. That would gross you out.
yeah. And it's not, but he doesn't reveal that to you, right?
You wouldn't know that. Yeah. This is something I've never thought of. If you got webbed by Spider-Man, how fucking yucked out would you be?
Do you think it smells?
Oh my, I bet it has a chemical smell, to be honest.
Yeah, it has to, right?
Like caulk.
Yeah, or like like an industrial cleaning chemical.
Right. But you think this came out of a human body. Like, you think this is digested material turned into either mucus or excrement.
And it's sticking to you. You can't get it off.
Yeah.
It is like it's like a mucus sort of viscosity to it, right?
Yeah, most of what comes out of our body is excrement or mucus or blood, right? Like, that's pretty much everything that comes out of our body, even if we call it other stuff. It's one of those things.
Anyway, absolutely loved this issue. I love seeing Spider-Man. I love seeing the X-Men. I love that every time we've seen the both of them together, they don't actually fight any crime.
And sweat.
That's true.
Hey, Pat,
we do a lot of water.
Do you want to hear about where the X-Men appear next?
No, I want to mention one more really good moment. Even though we're not in an X-Men comic, we do get a great Scott moment where he gets hit square in the head with a metal trash can.
Yes!
Like an old 60s metal trash can, too. That is some heavy stuff. And he's only stunned. Okay.
Well, now I want to tell you about 2 issues in a row. And we're just going to touch on them briefly. We can break down some of the weird shit about them, too. But we're going to touch on them briefly. The X-Men themselves don't appear in these 2 issues, but some X-Men related shit happens. Pat, I'm talking about Avengers 103, The Sentinels Are Alive and Well!
Oh.
And Avengers 104, With a Bang and a Whimper. Both of them are written by Roy Thomas. He's back, baby. They're drawn by Rich Buckler. One is inked by Joe Sinnott. No, both of them are inked by Joe Sinnott and lettered by... One's lettered by Sam Rosen. The next is lettered by John Costanza. 103 was released on June 13th, 1972, and 104 was released July 11th, 1972.
Nice.
Here we go. Iron Man and the other Avengers have learned that the Sentinels are still alive and well. And they appear to have kidnapped the Scarlet Witch. But apparently they did not kidnap Quicksilver, who is out looking for her at Larry Trask's old Sentinel base. Finding an empty, Quicksilver reminisces about his last moments there after X-Men number whatever, something in the early 60s, I think.
Yeah.
Judge Chalmers had just released all the mutants when Blob tries to start a fight with Pietro and Wanda, but Toad interferes and pleads for peace.
Toad's back.
Toad's back. Not in an X-Men comic, like I said. In an Avengers comic.
Yeah, you're still technically correct.
but he's back and he just like has a
Last
little
time
speech.
you said he'll never be back in an X-Men comic. He's back, and now that he's allowed to speak, he's actually really wise.
It's like he was just afraid of Magneto the whole time.
Yeah, which is why he spoke like Igor. And then now that Magneto's not around, he's like, friends, brothers, why would we attack each other?
Well, they listen, actually.
Yep.
And they all relent and they leave. Back in the present, Pietro resolves to look for his sister by finding Larry Trask. He runs off because he's Quicksilver. He finds Trask at Judge Chalmers' house and kidnaps him. Back at Avengers Mansion, the Avengers are trying to find the Sentinels when Peter Corbeau of StarCorps calls them, telling them that something is wrong with the sun. Something in Australia is shooting beams at it, causing solar flares. Quicksilver interrogates Trask and pulls off his anti-mutant powers amulet, allowing him to see his future visions again. They help him remember a secret Sentinel base in Australia. Do you think they're related?
The Avengers are off to Australia.
So they run off. En route, Trask remembers everything, including his future sight powers, and sees the Avengers being defeated by Sentinel number 2 and the world being destroyed. He sees the world exploding, and then everything goes black. They enter Australian airspace as the Avengers are already there, battling Sentinels. To be continued. I'm just going to keep rolling. We start off 104 with a recap of the Sentinels kidnapping Scarlet Witch and fleeing through a space warp, plus all the stuff that happened in the last issue. The Avengers fight Sentinels. They win, and they penetrate the Australian Sentinel base. In its depths, Sentinel number 2 tells Scarlet Witch that she is essential to their plans to destroy Earth and regrow humanity in vats with no mutants. They apparently needed a female mutant, and Marvel Girl was too far away. That's what he says. Quicksilver injures himself while fighting a Sentinel elsewhere in the base and sends Trask ahead to save the Earth. Meanwhile, the Avengers fight Sentinels, and Vision frees Wanda, and those two join the fight. Then Trask sneaks into the chamber where everyone is and turns on some machine that makes all mutants glow, and Pat, Sentinel number 2 starts glowing.
What?
Well, it's a Roy Thomas comic. So the Sentinel is a mutant. And he was the one with the space warp powers. He turned into a human and a mutant when he was circling the sun because of Cyclops.
Because of all the cosmic power that the sun provides.
Whatever, man. The other Sentinels destroy him and then fall over, crushing Larry Trask to death at the end.
Didn't they? There's so much here.
Were all Avengers comics this ridiculous?
Absolutely. Roy Thomas era Avengers is nutty. He is at his best opening the issue here. The Avengers are just standing around chatting and getting snippy with each other, and then we cut to a bunch of panels of Quicksilver running through the desert. Beautiful landscape with Roy Thomas's wordy babbling dialogue all over it.
When the Avengers are hanging around talking, I want to say Hawkeye is there.
Yes, that's Hawkeye in his new costume. He's not okay.
It's the worst costume. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the bad Hawkeye costume, but he's got a skirt on, bare legs.
A skirt that has like a 3-inch inseam. We are barely below his dick and balls.
They have to have dangled out at some points.
Yeah, I don't think he wears underwear.
He's got like a sleeveless vest. Obviously, it's a vest that comes down all the way to his belly button and then is like stitched together right around the tummy area.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, it's big open chest.
Yeah.
Big naked arms. He's got like 2 bracelets on, and he's got a big blonde mullet with a purple headband on.
It's the 70s, baby.
there's been some bad Hawkeye costumes, right? Like in the 90s, he gets like sunglasses and metal, like
Oh,
weird
yeah.
metal armor.
His original costume is really bad, too.
He's had some bad costumes. This is the worst of them. Anyway.
Yeah, he's going through a tough time, man.
Poor guy. Yeah.
There's a distinctively un-Hawkeye moment, but a distinctively Roy Thomas moment where he shoots a vibrating arrow at a sentinel and refers to it as a vibro shaft.
Oh man,
I'll put my foot down about this. Roy Thomas, I'm sure, knows Hawkeye very well, but he would just say vibrating arrow.
Right. I mean, we've made assumptions about how Roy Thomas talks about things in real life.
Yeah.
You know, like his soup lifting device. His soup lifto device, which
lifto.
is so I'm sure there is an item in his house. He's married. He's a married guy. There's probably an item in his house that he calls the vibro shaft.
Oh, come on, man.
What? I'm saying he knew what he was doing.
Here's something that I'm pretty upset about.
Yeah.
Blob in this flashback is very muscular. He's shirtless. He's large, but he's like sculpted. And then there's even a shot where we see him from behind and like his back is just rippling with tight muscles. Like there's not an ounce of fat on his back. This is not Blob. This is erasure of just a very charismatic fat character. He doesn't need to exercise. His thing is like he can stand still really effectively. Come on,
man.
We also get an appearance from Rick Jones, Matt.
Yeah.
Remember Rick Jones, the Hulk's best friend and the leader of the Teen Brigade?
He appears and he's like, hey, can I come with you? And they're like, no, you're not even, he's like, I defeated all the Kree and Skrull by myself. And they're like, so? You don't have any powers. And he's like, well, neither does that guy. And he points at Captain America. And he's like, and neither does that guy. And he points to Hawkeye. And they're like, shut up. And they get in their jet and fly away.
Okay, bud, we'll see you later. And then they literally just fly away.
It's so...
It's a little worse than that because Hawkeye fires back an insult at Rick Jones and Captain America's like, come on, man. Isn't it bad enough? Like the pity that he shows. Right?
Isn't it bad enough that he is himself?
You can't come with us. Yeah.
It's so disappointing, right? That Rick Jones wasn't in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because imagine having like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
And seeing this scene just over and over.
Just
like Ryan
not being an Avenger over and over.
Exactly. Ryan Gosling walking into the room and being like, hey guys, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to come with you. I'm an Avenger too. And they're just like, dude, you can go like hang out in the living room and watch TV or something.
Hey, you love it here at the mansion, right? Bud?
Pat, it does strike me. Why is there no Rick Jones in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? There's Hulk movies.
There are Hulk movies. So the Hulk movies, I think, only include him as like an Easter egg. There's not a Rick Jones that gets any sort of character.
It's such a bummer. It
is. So with just a little background here, he is fresh off the Kree-Skrull War, where he ended the war when the Supreme Intelligence gave him the Destiny Force. Or didn't give him the Destiny Force. He's got the Destiny Force inside of him. I'm sorry. I'm trying to work backwards from...
No, please.
To figure out why he's not there. So... the Kree we already know exist. The Skrulls they've introduced through some of the last few phases, they kind of fell off. But it seems like the war already happened. So that would have been in like the 80s, I guess, because by the 90s they're refugees.
Right.
Could have happened in the 70s. Maybe Rick Jones is dead. Maybe Rick Jones died in the 70s. And
That's
because
okay.
everything is scaled up to like the aughts in the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
Yeah.
he died with no purpose. He never impacted the Hulk. He never
Okay.
met the Avengers.
So
He
out of
did
every
somehow get to the Kree Skrull War, though.
okay, so every other character in the Marvel universe
Mhm.
gets moved into a later time period. But you're
Yeah,
saying Rick Jones
2008 and
does,
beyond.
and you're saying Rick Jones can't, because if he's going to stop the Kree Skrull War, it had to happen before the Skrulls are refugees.
Right. That seems to be the... or maybe it
Okay.
is pre-war and this is what causes the war. I don't know.
Maybe we'll see Rick Jones in a future Marvel movie.
Maybe. So the Fantastic Four is going to take place in the 60s.
Okay.
Maybe that's where we meet Rick Jones and they send him off on his way to the Kree Skrull War.
You think in the Fantastic Four movie that's coming out in like the next couple of months, we're going to meet Rick Jones, the character of Rick Jones?
Yes.
Pat, here's what I want to happen right now.
Okay.
I would love you to tell me about Avengers
No.
110.
No.
Jesus
I
Christ.
refuse to. Here is a thing that we haven't discussed that bothers me intensely. Quicksilver kidnaps Trask, right? Not really I guess kidnaps him, but
He kidnaps him.
unofficial Avengers business. Unofficial Avengers business. The local police see it happening and put out an APB on him. The local police put out an all points bulletin on an Avenger.
They're like, we'll get him.
Later, or at the start of the next
better
issue,
not cross state lines.
At the start of the next issue, it's explained that he walked into JFK Airport, flashed his Avengers ID, and they let him commandeer a jet so that he could get to Australia. And you're telling me the local police have the authority to try to interfere?
They didn't know he took a man.
They don't need to know. If he's taking a man, he's doing it on Avengers business.
Okay. Yeah. It is. Okay. You're right. It is weird. It is. I agree that it's weird. I really would like to move on to the next Avengers.
Now I can talk about Avengers 110.
Okay.
And now, Magneto. Steve Englehart wrote it, Don Heck drew it, Frank Giacoia and Mike Esposito inked it in glorious blacks. Stop that. S. Lefferman lettered it, G. Ween covered it, and Roy Thomas blue penciled it. Is that
Glynis
Jean Ween from Ween?
No, that's Glynis Ween. It's Len Ween's wife.
That's awesome.
Or Len Ween is her husband.
Yeah, there you go. Release date January 9th, 1973. Cover date April 73. The Avengers are goofing around in their HQ when Thor bursts in a panic, demanding they all assemble. But he's panicking for good news. Pietro is alive and is on the comm screen to explain that he was saved by the legendary Inhumans and will now be marrying one of them, Crystal.
What is any of this about?
We don't know, Matt. We're not following the Avengers.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, 6 issues ago, he was perfectly alive.
Wanda,
we're not following. Yeah.
Back at Avengers HQ, tries to return the good news with her announcement that she and Vision are in love, which sets Pietro into a rage. No sister of his will marry something inhuman. He hangs up the video call. Sorry.
How would you feel if your sister told you? Like, we read this and we're like, we know Vision. We love Vision.
Yeah.
And fuck, Pietro's being such a bigot here. But if your sister called you and said, Pat, I have such good news. I'm in love with a robot man.
Oh, trying to put myself in these shoes, I, being called by my sister, have just decided to marry a literal inhuman.
An alien who lives on the moon. All right, good point.
I have no right. And neither does he, but he hangs up the video call. Before the Avengers can push through the awkwardness of the situation, though, the comm screen lights back up.
Mm-hmm.
An unseen cameraman soars towards a sprawling suburban mansion, flying through the open front door to reveal the interior has been torn to shreds. We zoom in on a familiar bald man who's been thrown from his wheelchair and is refusing to beg for his life from this cameraman. After a few panels of trying to remember who this guy is, Thor recalls that this is Professor Charles Xavier, mentor to the X-Men. They set off to find and help him. Their plan...
Yeah. This is perverted. Like, what's happening here? The person who's, like, walking through the mansion and filming people, it's like legitimately reading that was uncomfortable. It felt creepy. Like
a little chilling.
It felt like pervert stuff. Okay, what's their plan? Yeah, how are they going to find the X-Men?
So they don't know exactly where the X-Men's mansion is, so their plan is to fly around in ever-widening circles until they find the mansion from the video. Presumably across... Luckily, it's a few miles away in Westchester, New York, but
they could be going across the entire Earth.
Antarctica, yeah.
Yeah.
Cut to San Francisco, where Hawkeye is moping about the Scarlet Witch choosing Vision over him. He's come to track down the Black Widow and try to make her choose between him and Daredevil. This will be important later. But we cut back to New York, where the Avengers have identified the mansion and found all of the X-Men unconscious inside. But it's a trap. Cerebro seems to spring to life in its coils and wires, lashing out and trying to grab the Avengers. They're able to subdue it long enough to carry the unconscious X-Men out of the mansion, thanks in part to Cap's new super strength.
I have a question. Is this the tentacles, the metal tentacles that Xavier implanted throughout his entire mansion?
Oh, that's a great theory. I just kind of assumed it was Cerebro.
Why would Cerebro have tentacles?
It's had tentacles before. It's been used to tie people up.
I think whoever the villain is here discovered the tentacles that are all over the mansion and put them to use.
It's a much better story that way, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Just when they think they're safe, the Avengers and the X-Men that they're carrying are assaulted by boulders from the sky, followed by a pack of dinosaurs appearing. The Avengers dodge the boulders and then kill the dinosaurs in increasingly horrifying ways, only to be defeated by another round of flying boulders. They really do. So, Thor climbs in the mouth of the T-Rex and then stretches it apart.
Jesus Christ!
Iron Man twists the... How do you say this word? Diodinicus? Diodinicus. Iron Man twists the Diodinicus's neck into a pretzel shape.
He makes a joke out of it.
Yeah. Vision, this is maybe the most horrifying one. Vision goes intangible.
Oh my God, yeah.
Warps himself into the middle of the Triceratops and then goes right back to tangible.
Oh my God. And just like squishing its organs. Here's what I don't understand. How would he know he was going to squish the other guy's organs and not his own inner workings?
I think he's done this before, Matt.
He's real fucking up. These are freaks.
Cap doesn't do anything inhumane, but he does say, well, it's not exactly legal in baseball, but in the dinosaur league, anything goes.
Cap, there's not a dinosaur league in baseball. You know that.
Also, you're justifying some pretty horrific things.
Here's what I'm glad about, though, is that we get to see more Silver Age artists drawing dinosaurs, because they're all so good at it.
They have no fucking clue what they're doing.
They draw T-Rex with big, beefy R-crumb legs. Like the leg... And they're like, oh, Tyrannosaurus Rex, what is it called? Oh, it's got glasses on. Yeah, it's got like yellow circles around its eyes for some reason. And it's bright green.
Bright green. The Triceratops, Matt, what's the defining feature of a Triceratops to you?
Oh, it's got 3 big horns on its head.
3 big horns. The titular horns of a Triceratops are not there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well.
as they deal with the dinosaur threat, who should reveal himself but Magneto wearing the Avenging Angel costume? That fucker. He was disguised as Angel, so he would be carried out of the mansion with the rest of the X-Men, and I guess didn't want to have to carry all of them himself.
That has to be it, right? Like, I was reading this, and I was like, that has to be it. There's no other reason for this plan besides, man, remember the time that he carried all the X-Men to that steel gondola? And he complained about it. He was like, finally done carrying all the X-Men and putting them in the steel gondola.
You're absolutely right. He learned his lesson from that. And this time is like, you know what? I'm just going to knock him unconscious, get the Avengers here, and we'll carry him. Maybe they can carry me. Let me slip on Angel's costume, and they can carry me off too.
And if he knocks out all the Avengers, then he's got to send a message to the Fantastic Four and get them to carry the Avengers into Okay.
Magneto grabs Scarlet Witch and ends up taking Cap and Iron Man as well when they try to stop him. Iron Man, as it turns out, is fairly vulnerable to Maggie's powers. I'm going to start calling him Maggie because a lot of
everyone else apparently does. Yeah,
it's great. Off Magneto flies while Thor, Black Panther, and Vision wonder how only 3 remaining Avengers could possibly overcome the situation. To be continued.
Wow. This is the worst Thor that I've ever read. He's got the worst speech patterns. He keeps saying be where he means is, as if that's like Shakespearean. I be going into the other room now.
He's using mostly just regular modern English, and then, once in a while there's a yay or a be in there somewhere.
Sometimes you imagine he's talking like a pirate. Sometimes you imagine he's talking like a Viking. Sometimes you imagine he's talking like a Shakespearean character. But most of the time, it seems like he's talking like a superhero.
It seems like a Renaissance fair first-time participant.
Yeah. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this episode, Pat?
I'm loving it. I'm having a great time.
What I meant to say is, how do you feel about this issue?
I enjoyed the beginning of this issue. Number one, the Avengers just dealing with family issues and bickering with each other, awkwardly having to watch a brother and sister fight with each other. I love we mentioned it earlier, but just how creepy that communication to the Avengers was from Magneto. As soon as the mystery breaks, I think is when this really goes downhill. They just kind of have Magneto being weird, the Avengers decide to be weird in response, and the X-Men are all just unconscious through it all.
That's true. I really love, there's a sequence where after the awkward confrontation, everybody flies off on their own, and like Captain America is talking to Scarlet Witch, Iron Man's flying by himself, Thor's flying by themselves, and they're all thinking about what that confrontation means, like emotionally interpreting it, right?
Yeah.
Except for Vision. When they show Vision flying by himself, it's just narration. There's no thoughts.
Silent.
Which
it is
really good, really eerie, and immediately followed by a panel where Hawkeye jumps into a tree butt first.
It's a really good time for Vision because they're still kind of figuring him out. He's been around for long enough that they know the basics about him, but some of the gaps from earlier issues with Vision in them become personality traits for him here. So the fact that like he was weird and robotic in a few years ago means now he's just a cold calculating robot. Like that's how he thinks, that's how he operates, and stuff like that is really what fills out the Vision through the 70s and 80s.
Well, it seems like Steve Englehart is toying with that here, right? He's trying to get us to think about, what is Vision thinking? Is he thinking at all? Does he have the feelings that Scarlet Witch and some of his teammates think he does? Or is that an act? Like, when he's alone, is he thinking? And I think that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I read that as like, he's not reflecting. He has no purpose to reflect. Like, he's mission driven.
Until he needs to react to that situation again. He doesn't need to comprehend it. He's going to comprehend it lightning fast because he's a computer.
Yeah.
So I do just want to talk about how funny that Hawkeye sequence is. He goes to see Black Widow. He goes in the door. Ivan's like, oh, she's not home. She's out with Daredevil. And then Hawkeye walks out of the room, closes the door, and then grabs a tree and leaps up into, like, it's such a weird panel. It literally just does leap butt first. And he's like, oh, she's out with her boyfriend. I'll jump into a tree. It's so weird. And then, you know, we'll find out next issue, he just stays in that tree for days.
It is, if you follow the Avengers, again, this is a rough time for Hawkeye. He's snapping at the Avengers a lot. They're starting to get mad at him, and he goes through these Avengers issues. He does go through an emotional journey. So this is like, hey, we're focusing on the rest of the Avengers. We're taking a little break from Hawkeye's issues, but here's a quick peek at what he's up to. Right. But for us, it's baffling. Why do we need to know that Hawkeye is through 3 panels in San Francisco now?
What else do you have to tell me about this issue before I tell you about Avengers 111?
One more thing. Magneto looks pretty good in that Avenging Angel costume. The man's got a good head of hair. You know, I love that. But also just like, he's got a menacing look. His face is, I mean, Don Heck, as much shit as we give him, knows how to draw Magneto.
Yeah.
What I don't like, though, is he gets onto his ship with all the X-Men in tow.
Oh, God. Yes.
Still in the Avenging Angel costume, and puts his Magneto helmet on. And it looks awful.
It looks like they pasted a head onto a different body.
Yes, it's so mismatching that it doesn't look natural.
No.
Also, he calls his helmet a hood.
Yeah, well, he's talking about his helmet, or is he talking about, he's saying the costume, the angel costume has a hood.
Well, and that's not a hood either.
I know, I can't stop picturing Angel wearing like a full-on hood as he's flying around.
That's all I need to say about this issue, Matt.
I guess he kind of does. Well, anyway. All right, well, let me tell you about Avengers 111 with 2 beside them. Written by Steve Englehart, drawn by your boy Don Heck, inked by Mike Esposito, lettered by John Costanza, colored by David Hunt, and edited by Roy Tommy. Released February 20th, 1973. We open on a dead-eyed Scarlet Witch dancing ballet while Magneto lounges on a throne with the faithful Piper by his side.
Remember that guy from the Savage Land?
Yeah. Thoroughly enjoying the very sexual dance of Magneto's daughter.
Oh, right. Ugh.
He proclaims that Magneto rules minds as Scott, Jean, Bobby, Xavier, Iron Man, and Captain America watch in a trance from the background as Magneto makes his daughter dance sexy for him. Magneto explains that he realized the blood is chock full of iron to a degree where he can slow down the blood flow to the human brain. He's been using this to make people dumb enough to follow his orders, but not, he clarifies, so stupid that they go into organ failure. Scarlet Witch continues her sexy dance. Meanwhile, the 3 remaining Avengers are flying out to San Francisco with Daredevil and Black Widow in tow.
Daredevil?
They had gone to ask Hawkeye to come back and help, but found him mid-fight with Daredevil, hoping that it would help him win back the affections of Black Widow. Hawkeye lost that fight. He's not in a great place right now. No one has a plan until Daredevil does what he does best: research. He discovers that there's an atomic energy conference being held today, and they all gamble that it's involved in the next steps of Magneto's plan. Meanwhile, Black Widow longingly reflects on her relationship with Hawkeye.
This, Matt,
Yeah.
is the beginning of the end for Black Widow and Daredevil's relationship.
And did you know that already from just like your love of Daredevil?
Yes. If you didn't know, Daredevil and Black Widow fall in love. They move to San Francisco together, where because of family expectations in the 70s, they have to live on separate floors.
And or Daredevil has to pretend he's gay so that he can be. It's a Three's Company situation.
Yeah, exactly. They have some really exciting adventures. This is pre-Frank Miller Daredevil, so it's still a little lighthearted. Still a little. I think this is Gene Colan era, though, so
they don't exactly know what they're doing with Daredevil yet.
So, yeah, it's got the dark look, but they're still trying to make another Spider-Man.
Right.
But it's a fun little spurt in Daredevil's career.
Don't say fun little spurt.
Fun little spurt. He's my fun little spurt. Keep going. Sorry.
Cut to the Atomic Commissioner's house, where he's hosting the entire Atomic Energy Commission. Suddenly, their conference table cracks in half, and their security agents' guns go flying.
Oh,
Do they have a metal table?
I guess, yeah.
Iron Man blasts a hole through the window, and in comes Magneto and his hypnotized Avengers X-Men team. Hold on, I have to look this table up. Maybe it's Scarlet Witch that does the table?
Oh,
I think
that is it. She
yeah.
adjusts the probability that the table will split in half on its own.
Every table has a small percentage chance of bursting in half at any moment. The remaining unhypnotized Avengers show up right in time, though, and Thor loudly leads the charge against Magneto.
I have a question. Okay, so
yeah.
So the Avengers are creeping through the woods, sneaking up on Magneto. They find him. Thor runs out hammer first, saying something to the effect of, "We'll stop you, Magneto." Black Panther says, "That's telling him, Thunder God."
Okay.
But if they're sneaking up on him in this moment, is it possible that Black Panther's actually saying, no, that's telling him, Thunder God"? Because Thor just runs out with a battle cry after they spend hours creeping through the forest.
Magneto releases some octofumes.
It's just smoke.
And takes off in a rocket. How will they ever catch him now? And where has the Vision gone? He's missing. Back in some strange underground lair, Magneto explains to the Atomic Energy Commission how he got there. Turns out, the Avenging Angel costume was designed to gradually sap Warren's youthful energy and funnel it to Magneto when he put the costume.
Fuck!
Pat, you have been talking about this costume for episodes now.
Somebody at any point could have said, "Hey, Warren, you know Magneto made that costume, right?" God, Matt, just to pull back the curtain here a little bit, we were so excited about this that we texted about it before the podcast. It couldn't wait until this moment.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Once Warren was weak enough, Magneto snuck in and chloroformed him. He's so bad at superheroing. Stealing his costume and absorbing his energy, giving him the power he needed to mentally overpower the rest of the X-Men.
Oof.
Back to the surface, where Black Panther is the first to remember that they just fought some dinosaurs yesterday. And that's strange, because dinosaurs are extinct. There's only one place where they could have come from, the Savage Land. Thanks to this and Daredevil's heightened senses, they're able to find Magneto's lair in the Savage Land and bust in to stop him. A fight ensues where the hypnotized Avengers and the X-Men are at a disadvantage precisely because Magneto's controlling him. There's this fucking scene where Magneto forgets to control Cyclops. Actually, I think this is earlier in the issue, but it's still like the same problem. And Cyclops just gets punched in the face. And it's just like, you can imagine Cyclops is just standing there inert. And so he rocks him in the face. And he just still just stands there like, oh. He doesn't know his captives as well as their teammates do, including how they match up with each other. But just when Magneto seems to start to gain the upper hand, his faithful servant Piper walks up behind him and chops him in the back of the neck, knocking him unconscious.
What?
Only Daredevil is able to recognize that this is actually the Vision. So he turned intangible.
Okay.
And then he phased into Piper's body and would just, I guess, walk along with Piper at all moments, like match
just
Piper's
mirroring him, but inside his body.
And then he adjusted the tangibility of his brain to slightly more concrete than Piper's, which allowed him to control Piper's thoughts without hurting Piper somehow.
And he can do that, Matt?
I don't know. We're not following the Avengers right now. The Avengers offer membership to Widow and Daredevil, and only Black Widow accepts, which pisses Daredevil off.
It's the kiss of death for their relationship. They try to continue it, but it's long distance, New York to San Francisco.
The X-Men, on the other hand, have a new pressing question. What has happened to the Angel?
Honestly, Matt, through this 2-issue arc, I was asking myself that question. Like,
Nobody
addressed what happened to him after Magneto snuck up behind him, chloroformed him, and stole his costume.
What are your other thoughts on this issue?
Well, we have motherfucking Daredevil, Matt.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite guy. I am loving this episode. We've got Spider-Man. We've got Daredevil. We'll probably see Batman later. All my favorite guys are here. Daredevil is great. Matt Murdock is a flawed man. He's not great in relationships. He does a few very insensitive things that cause Black Widow to leave him here. So I love, obviously, that Daredevil's here.
Of course.
He and Black Widow are the guest stars here. Black Widow is not an Avenger until the end of this issue, so they get a ton of screen time. They get to kind of show off the creative interpretations of their powers.
Mm-hmm.
I know we just gave Don Heck some credit for knowing how to draw Magneto in the last issue.
Okay.
This issue, he makes him real smiley. It's like a weird... It's not like the crazed grin that we've seen him on.
Yeah.
We've seen on his face in the past. It is a legitimate smile. He's very happy. He's having a good time, and his eyebrows are just a little bit furrowed to give him an evil look.
I hate that we don't know who draws the covers in this era. It might be Don Heck, but Magneto on the cover is just, he looks like a villain in a Nintendo game. He's just got like a maniacal smiling face with his helmet on popping out of a vehicle.
He's looking pretty bad in this Avengers run here.
Yeah.
Look, the Avengers at this point are about squeezing as many things into a single issue as they possibly can.
Is that the Steve Englehart like deal, or is that just everybody? Is that like an editorial edict?
So it gets worse as time goes on. I think it's a huge Roy Thomas feature. Like the Lee and Kirby era there's a lot that happens, but it all kind of follows that Marvel method narrative style. Once Roy Thomas takes over, it runs amok. They go to 15 locations each issue and they go to Australia in this one.
Oh yeah. I like the part where Magneto gathers all the nuclear scientists together and yells at them for having jobs.
What's wrong with you?
He's like, you have the power to make nuclear stuff, and here you are working for a lab making nuclear stuff.
You could be enslaving humanity.
You could be making nuclear stuff without getting paid for it. I don't understand you.
His vision's too big.
He's just so strange in this era. This Magneto just doesn't have a cohesive ideology.
I know, and he's always fucking with the Avengers.
know. And it's like, he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
A lot of his plans require the X-Men. And again, he doesn't kill them. He never can kill them. But a lot of his plans require the X-Men. And then he just wants to like beat up the Avengers for no reason in the middle of a plan.
He
just like, that's
invites
the thing
them
he does.
here.
Yeah, right.
He's
This is not
mid-plan
the
and he
first time
says,
he's done this. Yeah.
"Let's get the Avengers."
This is exactly what he did in the X-Men issues where, you know, the one where Angel was supposed to go get the Avengers to help and instead he went and hung out with Red Raven.
Yes.
But it was the same exact thing. Magneto was like, my plan is that we let Angel escape so he can go get the Avengers.
Right.
And why? Why did you do that?
This is the second time you do it. You lost the first time, and now the second time.
Yeah. It seems like he just wants to brag that he beat up the Avengers, but he can't. He can't do it. He's not good enough to. Also, it's just the way he so much of how he controls all these guys is weird. He, not only making his daughter dance sexy, but
I think she's dancing ballet. I think it is Don Heck that's making it look sexy just by drawing curves on her. But I think the intent is that she's supposed to be doing an elaborate ballet dance.
Huh.
Like to show off that he's so in control that he can have her do this like highly skilled activity.
Even that, why use your okay, at this point, maybe he doesn't know that's his daughter yet. But still, it's gross to use your daughter for that. Yeah, right. We don't know it. Maybe he doesn't know it.
The writers certainly don't.
His use of Iceman is fun. There's a lot of cool things about his use of Iceman.
He has Iceman form ice hair on the top of his ice body. Like up to this point, It's essentially just an ice skull.
Yeah.
That is Iceman's head.
And now he's here.
Under Magneto's control, he's got hair.
I, Magneto, think you look better this way. But he does cool stuff with Iceman, and it seems just Steve Englehart has a better handle on the cool things that Iceman can do than most of the other writers of Iceman, or maybe it's Don Heck. But he's like, at one point, Black Panther's fighting Cyclops, and Iceman extends ice shafts from his hands to grab Black Panther by the arm and by the face. And then Black Panther attacks him, and he does the same thing, only turns them into two like hammers and fucking slams.
Bonks him.
Yeah, slams
each side of
Black
his head.
Panther's head between the two. It's really good Iceman shit.
It's very cool. If you remember way back when Alex Toth had a really brief run on the X-Men, he did some really creative things with Iceman's powers that just got used for the rest of the X-Men's run.
Like the ice slides, right?
Like the ice slides, or the
So, do we have anything else to talk about with this issue?
For once, Matt, no. Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. At the very end of the issue, to explain the end of Magneto, they just say, "We put Magneto in a deep sleep."
More Professor X weird. What are they keeping? And then what do they do with them? They put them in the paste.
We know that's exactly what he does with them because that's what he did with Juggernaut.
Yeah. And Mastermind, when Mastermind was stone.
Right. This is bad news.
He's not a good guy, this Professor Xavier. All right, so that's their run with the Avengers. 103, 104, 110, 111. That's what happened to Magneto. It's what happened to the Sentinels.
It's what happened to the Blob and Toad.
Angel's costume.
Yeah, where is Angel's costume now?
I bet he asked for it back. He was like, that was my favorite. That was my favorite one. Please, can I have that back, Magneto? In between the next two issues, he's like pulling it off of Magneto.
Yeah.
He's like stripping Magneto.
As he's in a deep sleep.
All right, Pat, do you want to tell me about so here's where the X-Men run pop up next. So during this era, right, during while they're in this Avengers thing is while Amazing Adventures is happening and Beast is turning into furry Beast. Let me let me grab my Epic collection and see where like that Polaris Havoc thing was. So these two Avengers issues were in 1973, April and May. Where we saw Havoc and Hulk was in April of 1972. That Juggernaut issue was in February of 1974, where we see the X-Men briefly, and we know that they are looking for
Lorna and Alex
and Angel. They don't mention that Iceman is missing, but it is just Cyclops, Marvel Girl, and Professor X at the end of that Hulk issue, which is interesting.
Huh. Well, he's here fighting Magneto.
Yes, but that was May of 1973. That Juggernaut issue is in February of 1974. And then other Hulk issue, I don't even remember what fucking happened in it, dude.
They
it's the Mimic Beast one.
Yeah,
okay. It's not really that relevant. But that's the last time we saw Beast, I guess I'll say. The last time anybody saw the Beast was in March of 1973. So now we are coming into April of 1974. Again, no one's seen Havoc or Polaris. Well, sorry, there's no Polaris. Nobody's seen Havoc or Lorna Dane since April of 1972. Nobody has seen Angel since, holy shit, like back in the Amazing Adventures, November of 1972.
Wouldn't it have been Avengers 110 in January of 73 or April of 73? I guess we just see a flashback to him.
Yeah, we don't see, he's not there. Nobody has seen Iceman since what we just read, May of 1973. And the rest of the X-Men, everybody saw back in February of this year, 1974. But yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Matt, we leave the Avengers in May of 1973. We pick up in April of 1974 with Captain America and the Falcon, number 172, titled, Believe It or Not, The Banshee. Steve Englehart.
I'll choose to believe it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out. Steve Englehart, author. Sal Buscema, artist. Mike Friedrich, amigo.
What?
Coletta Inks, Cymek lettering, brand, colorist. R. Thomas, editor. Captain America and Falcon lie unconscious at the foot of Moonstone. That's a person. Only stopped from killing them by his boss, Quint, who doesn't want to turn them into martyrs. Quint is also a person.
Okay.
They've recently ruined Cap's good reputation and turned the government against him, but he's still got some believers out there. Frustrated, Moonstone leaves the prisoners with a group of ketchup and mustard colored henchmen in a nearby park and storms off. Cap comes to, though, and quickly disposes of the henchmen. Falcon and Cap go on the lam and disguise themselves as a couple of odd hitchhikers and get a ride to Nashville because it's got a moon rock and country music.
Okay, yeah.
Which they remember Moonstone mentioning that he liked.
This is so weird. Actually, I want to talk about it at the end. Okay, go ahead.
As they stroll through the streets of Nashville, Banshee, who also happens to be there, recognizes Cap and assumes
Merle
he's
Haggard
there.
Tickets.
Recognizes Cap and assumes because he's a criminal that he's there to persecute him. He catches Cap and Falcon off guard with a few brutal screams, but just as he gets the upper hand, a blast strikes him from behind. It's Cyclops, who quickly loses a fight with Banshee, but at least gets him to run away so Jean and Professor X can get Cap and Falcon to safety in a nearby grove. Our remaining X-Men are here, and the Professor reveals open season has been declared on mutants by the same government forces that are pursuing Captain America. To be continued.
All right. Have you read this era of Captain America at all?
No.
Okay.
I can confidently say I have not.
So this is okay. I'm wondering, is this supposed to be comedy? Like, is this supposed to be like based on the Batman? When did the Adam West Batman TV show come out?
That was late 60s. I think it was 66 it started, and it ran
Yeah,
for,
you're right.
I want to say 4 seasons.
3 seasons. Yeah.
3 seasons, damn.
But 120 episodes, so
Okay.
you can't be blamed. Because, okay, so it starts out with like Moonstone defeats Captain America and the Falcon, and like, we can't kill him. We've got to call the press. And then you noted this too. The henchmen say absurd shit.
When they find out they have to guard Captain America and Falcon, they say, Cheez, double cheese.
But yeah, like, he beats up the guy and he's like, don't you, his boss comes in, don't you even think about killing them. And then we got to call the press, cheese, double cheese. The guys call themselves by numbers, which also, like, he's like, oh, hey, number 20. Yes, number 16. Like, that's goofy. The villain comes back and he's like, boy, oh boy, I can't wait for the press to get here. Like you said, their outfits are ridiculous. And then Captain America and the Falcon, they beat him up, they run away, and Moonstone's like, I can't chase them, people will see. Quick, hit me on the back of the head so I can pretend like they knocked me out. And then, yeah, they decide to go to Nashville because they're like, Captain America's like, well, I've heard Moonstone talk about country music. And then Falcon's like, and he gets his power from a moon rock. And then Captain America's like, so where is famous for having a moon rock and country music? And they're both like, Nashville. This is a Batman episode, right? Like, this is just absolute. This has got to be meant to be comedy, right?
So I'm kind of two minds about this, Matt. They and I also want to point out they hitch a ride with a trucker who finds them odd. Like, that's he's a strange dude. He's just like,
he's chill about it, but then he's like, "Hoof, these guys are weird." Yeah. And then they get out, and he's like, "I'd be rid of them." He's like very chill about it, but he's weirded out.
One side of me says, "Yeah, sure, the Batman TV show was very successful, being campy and silly, and this could very much be trying to cash in off of that." The other mind, though, is the reason that the Batman TV show was like that is because that's what comic books were doing in those days. And somebody wanted to say, look at how goofy and campy these comic books are. Like, this is also, but this could be intentional, or it could be something Stan Lee wrote 10 years prior, you know?
Right, but when Stan Lee was writing stuff, it was this bad, but it was clearly unintentional, right? Like, it was there were these moments where you could tell he was being serious. Or if not serious, he was just kind of pissing it out because he's like, these kids will buy whatever, right? But this seems like you couldn't write this without knowing that you were writing silly stuff.
Yeah, and it's Steve Englehart, right? So he's young and hip. He's not like one of the old company men.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just okay. I do want to drill down though on the calling guys numbers, because that would be so, like, it's hard enough to learn all your coworkers' names, but if you had to call all your coworkers a number, one guy calls the other guy number 20, so they have to learn at least 20 names or 20 numbers. 20. Wait, anyway,
I don't know that they're sequential either, Matt. We'll get there.
Okay.
One fun thing from this issue, not exactly a Pat Steele and Deal, but sort of a taste.
Yeah.
There is an advertisement in the letters page of this issue that coming in February, the new hero, Iron Fist. So at this point, this is released. The cover date is April 74, but it's released on January 1st, 1974, which actually, you know what's significant about that date, Matt?
What is?
It's New Year's Day.
They were releasing comics on New Year's Day. So, man, I kind of thought Iron Fist was later. I kind of thought he was like 77 or something.
Okay, Matt, why don't we move on from this issue?
Okay. Well, Captain America and the Falcon, number 173, The Sins of the Secret Empire. Steve Englehart wrote this. Sal Buscema drew it. Vinnie Coletta, mobster Vinnie Coletta, did the inks. Artie Simek was the letterer. G. Russos was the colorist. And Roy Thomas was our editor at this time. It was released in February of 1974. Yes, sir?
They did such simple credits here. For once, you would have been served by just reading what they actually wrote on the page. But instead, you made it more complicated for yourself.
In the same grove the last issue ended in, we see that Captain America, the Falcon, Scott, Jean, and Xavier are all being told to put their hands in the air and turn themselves in. It's Nick Fury and his kooky commandos. They, of course, work for the government, which is against Captain America at the moment. He's a criminal. The X-Men strike, throwing Fury's lines into temporary chaos. They make an escape. The X-Men briefly recap everything that's happened to them since their cancellation, including the bit that Cap was already there for. It is cool. They do go through like, and then we sent Lorna Dane off to find Havoc, and she never came back. And then we contacted Beast, and he told us to fuck off.
Yeah. We went out and fought Juggernaut.
Yeah. So they add that mutants, including their own Warren and Bobby, have been suddenly disappearing all around the country. It must be the work of the Pat. We've seen these guys come up in some of these Dark Era episodes so far, Dark Era issues so far. It must be the work of the Secret Empire.
Are we even allowed to say that?
Cut to Linda Donaldson. Thinking to herself about how smart and clever she is, but still can't explain what happened to Hank McCoy or where that strange beast at the lab he worked at came from. And they disappeared at the same time.
All one continuous monologue. Oh, Linda, you're so smart. If only you could find Hank. Or figure something out about that mysterious beast that popped up when he disappeared.
As she pulls into her apartment, Cyclops pops up behind her and tries to kidnap her.
Oof.
Yeah, I know. He's turned into a villain. He actually snaps her neck, and Cyclops is now he takes over for Magneto. No, what's actually happening is part of a brilliant plan. Cap and Falcon are in deep disguise as regular dudes who run to help rescue Linda from a, quote, filthy mutie. They say, Cap says they're disguised as bums, but they're dressed in like crisp, button-down, tucked-in shirts with creased pants and shiny belt buckles.
Blue collar off the clock outfits.
Yeah, like when blue collar jobs paid well.
Yeah.
They stage a fight in which they rescue Linda afterwards casually mention to her, you wrote to it, that they hate mutants and also their job. The plan works to a T. Later that night, Cap and Falcon's alter egos get recruited by number 13, lucky number 13, to the Secret Empire. All they have to do to prove themselves is steal some scientific doohickey. In full costume, for some reason, it doesn't make any they explain why they're in full costume, and it is the worst. It's like, well, if we get caught, whoever catches us might still remember that Captain America's a good guy and let us go. So they decide to commit a crime dressed in their outfit. Also, they're trying to Pat,
not only an undercover operation.
Yeah, not only, and they're like double undercover, right? So not only are they risking giving themselves up as like, oh, Captain America and the Falcon are committing a crime, which is only going to fuck them up. On top of that, if anyone from the Secret Empire finds out Captain America and Falcon are the ones who stole the thing, they're giving themselves up as... Yeah. In every way, this is the worst plan I've ever heard.
Not a good plan, Cap. I'm sorry.
Cap and Falcon break into the lab and acquire the thingy and escape. In walks the boss, Mr. Black, to chastise security. Captain America and Falcon bring the thingy to number 13, and then they take off. to the desert and are welcomed into the secret Empire's secret lair. And the X-Men, using Cap's secret tracing signal, aren't far behind. To be continued. Linda's there. Linda's back. Yeah.
Linda is back. I'm not crazy about her.
She's got gray hair now instead of blonde.
Cyclops, I'm going to be a real stickler
Yeah.
about this. Cyclops creates a diversion so that Cap and Falcon can escape Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. by shooting his, quote, searing blasts and setting the hill they're positioned on fire with those blasts. Tell me what's wrong with that.
Well, I can't think of anything because Cyclops shoots heat beams.
He does not. Matt.
Oh, you're right. They are very specifically and always talked about as not heat beams.
There is a whole butt issue that talks about how they are specifically not hot.
I know. It's yeah. Nobody. Roy Thomas should know this, by the way.
Yeah,
and he's editing this fucking issue.
Come on, man. Do your
Come
job,
on, dude. Grow up. I don't know if that fits. You notice their Quent's little organization is called the Committee to Regain America's Principles, aka crap. That's got to be on purpose, right?
That one has to be on purpose.
Especially because we hear it from Nick Fury's mouth, who is always naming shit after like he comes up with the acronym and then the name. So
somebody was like, crap, how can we turn this into a government program?
I mean, this is right. When's Reagan? He's not till the 80s. So no, this is before everybody's getting mad at the overabundance of government programs.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on here.
Watergate. They make mention that Watergate happened
a lot. Now I'm curious, and I wasn't going to talk about this till next issue, but are they implying that Watergate, that the secret empire made Watergate happen? Like it was part of the secret empire's plans?
No, I think they're very carefully trying to say, hey, the secret empire or any, like, no supervillain was actually responsible for this. This was Richard Nixon being a piece of shit. But
yeah, right. But
it was very helpful to the secret empire because it created the distrust in government they needed to start creating their little sleeper cells.
In 2 issues, that gets a little more complicated, and we'll discuss why. I love that when Cyclops goes to... First, I don't know how she knows who he is, but when Cyclops goes to kidnap Linda... Oh, because they know all the mutants.
Yeah,
when Cyclops goes to...
the leader of the X-Men.
Kidnap Linda Donaldson, she says, Cyclops! Because she's getting her mouth covered, and she goes, Cyclops!
Cyclops. Very good. I picture a little, like a cute little creature wearing Cyclops's
and it's costume. Just like a Pokemon, it says its own name. Cyclops.
Yeah. Cyclops.
The narrator also says this is the first illegal act either Sam Wilson or Steve Rogers have ever committed.
Do you not believe that?
They never run a red light. They never smoke a joint.
I do not believe that Steve Rogers ever smoked a joint.
Steve Rogers has committed assault. He has hit somebody when he shouldn't have.
You were right. Even though it might have been justified at the time, they were technically illegal acts. Actually, he's a fugitive from the law right now. You're right. So by not going to... that is a fucking good point, Pat. By not reporting to jail,
He has been committing an illegal act for days or weeks.
Yeah. Sam Wilson is aiding and abetting.
Yeah, it is illegal to evade the law. All right.
That's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? It's illegal
to not
to
get arrested. What else did you think about this issue?
I don't think I have many more thoughts here, honestly. There's a little this is all just a little bland. The conspiracy that they're unraveling, the idea that the X-Men and Captain America are being hunted by the same forces, very cool. We're reading through 4 issues when I think it could have been 2.
No, you're absolutely right. It is such a good idea. The end. It's not a good.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I didn't hate reading these, but I also didn't feel much about them at all.
Yeah,
which we've said in episodes before. Like, this isn't the first time this has happened to us, but it's definitely happening here.
You know what I do really like about them? They're brief.
Yeah. They fly. They do. They really do. Do you want to tell us about the next one? What number is it even, Pat?
We're up to Captain America and the Falcon number 174. To think we started at X-Men number 1. Now we're all the way here.
I was good. Yeah, I can't believe we are 174 episodes into this podcast.
This issue is titled, this will catch your interest, Matt. It's Always Darkest.
Hey, wait a second. That's the name of the Epic Collection.
Shut up. Steve Englehart, author. Sal Buscema, artist. Vinnie Coletta, inker. C. Jeter, letterer. G. Rousseau's colorist. And Roy Thomas, editor.
Okay.
Hit the stands March 12th, 1974. Cover date June 74. Captain America and the Falcon, a.k.a. Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson, currently going by their undercover aliases Roger Stevens and Willie Samuels, descend into the secret base of the Secret Empire. They meet Number One, the leader, who rambles about overtaking the government for evil purposes from within. Cap and Falcon are led to a briefing room to get their next mission. But, as it turns out, they hadn't fooled anyone this whole time and are now locked in this room. Sam has a hunch that they need to crawl into the air vents immediately. He's absolutely right, as the room they were locked in soon fills with lasers. Above ground, Professor X reveals that he sent Falcon his hunch to quickly escape the room.
Oh, I was just going to ask.
Right now, he's struggling to maintain a connection. Meanwhile, in their escape, Cap and Falcon run into a big red robot, and they team up to defeat it, and then escape to a hatch where the X-Men are waiting for them. But before they can escape, they must rescue the missing mutants that Xavier can now sense down here. As they discuss a plan, we see that Moonstone is on, I think it's the Dick Cavett show, being introduced as America's newest idol and bragging about his herodom. Quent watches on excitedly. Back in the lair, Cap, Falcon, and the X-Men discover an absolutely horrific scene. The missing mutants are here, strapped to a hideous machine that Xavier deems to be siphoning their brain energy.
And by hideous machine, you mean like the design of this machine is horrible. Like whoever designed this machine wasn't putting much thought into it.
No, these are the narrator's words. They're hooked up to a hideous machine.
It is legitimately, they are on a big pinwheel.
Strapped by the top of the head.
Yeah, with their heads facing the middle of the pinwheel and like splayed out like... Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Keep telling us about this fucking pinwheel.
It's horrifying.
What we should say, it's Lorna Dane, Havoc, Beast, Angel, Iceman, Mesmero, Mastermind, and Eunice, and then Blob for some reason's on a table nearby. I guess they needed a backup.
Yeah, I think he was weighing down the wheel.
So then they had to go get one more. That's why Iceman got kidnapped.
Got him a specialty. Yeah. Cap, after learning that this is siphoning their mutant brain energy, wastes no time in smashing it up, at which point the professor is able to psychically understand how Angel and Beast were captured. Both of them separately just got shot with a laser.
Right.
Are they too late, though? Before any of the rescued mutants can recover, Number One and Linda Donaldson lead in a troop of Secret Empire baddies. A big
Linda.
fight ensues where everyone but the professor chips in until Number One demands his atomic annihilator. He uses this big gun to just shoot the good guys, and they all fall. To be continued.
Whew. Man. Cap's like, at one point when he's facing Number One, he says, "You'll be Number One. You'll be number 0 or less." So he's just, is he going to give him a promotion?
Well, here's my thing, Matt. I don't think these numbers are sequential. I don't think that.
Okay.
I mean, Number One is clearly the top guy, but I think he picked that. He's like, I'm the top guy. I'm going to be Number One. We learned that he actually kills the old Number One and just takes his number. We need a number 13. We know Linda Donaldson is number 9. We need a number 68. I don't think there's 68 Secret Empire agents that we see through this whole thing. I think that they're just like basketball players saying, "Oh, what
do you want to be?
I want number 24. That's my lucky number. Now I'm Secret Empire Agent 24."
Okay, maybe, but Number One, I think it's significant that Number One is the leader. Or do you think it's just random? Like that, he just happened to be Number One was the leader.
No, I think much like basketball players, you can change your number when you want to. And I think when he became Number One, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to be Number One."
Right.
When he became the leader.
No, I get you. So, they mention here the possibility that Falcon might be a mutant because he can communicate with Redwing, his Falcon.
Right. They're just flirting with the idea here.
Okay, here's a question for you. Pat, is Falcon a mutant?
I'm going to say no. I think that he has a familiar, much like Kazar, and through some mystical connection, he's able to. It's not like they talk to each other in human or bird language, right? They have a psychic connection, which is pretty common with familiars.
Okay, so this has been a controversial subject throughout Marvel history. There's this conversation. There's this conversation. Later, Falcon gets captured by a Sentinel, and he uses Redwing to escape. This was in the 1980s. So for a long time, it was kind of assumed Falcon is a mutant and just doesn't know it. In 2001, Kurt Busiek revealed that the Sentinel was malfunctioning. And that Falcon's not a mutant.
I fucking love Kurt Busiek because he very clearly and very closely reads every issue of any character that he's writing. Like he is familiar with the entire history of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. So he's not a mutant. You're right. He's not a mutant, but it has been discussed back and forth for very rarely, but back and forth for 40 years, 50 years, I guess.
That's not even hard proof that he's not a mutant, though, right? It's just that the Sentinel that captured him was malfunctioning, meaning he could not have been a mutant.
Well, I think it was like somebody was looking at a computer screen that was discussing whether or not Falcon was a mutant, and it said he's not. But you're right. Like it could be Cloak and Dagger have been determined to be mutants and not mutants.
Yeah,
several times, and sometimes it's like, we did a scientific test, you're mutants, and then later it's like, we did a scientific test, you're not mutants. So who knows? But Falcon, at current continuity, not a mutant.
Interesting. Wait,
Sort
have
of.
they ever followed up on all pharaohs?
Are all pharaohs mutants? I don't know. We'll have to wait for a comic book resources article on that.
We'll have to wait for Kurt Busiek to tackle it.
All right. I don't have much to say about this issue either. Do you want me to tell you about Captain America and the Falcon number 175?
I do. ...
Before the dawn.
Wait.
So again, how is it being said so many times in this? Like, how did they just find a bunch of issues where the X-Men appeared, where it's always darkest before the dawn, the phrase is being referenced?
In several different forms.
Exactly. It's
so strange.
It's legitimately weird.
Before last episode, I was like, Matt, this seems like a coincidence, and you're kind of
no, it's legitimately
dots here, but
very weird. Especially because we've read all the other issue, like we've read so many other comics up to this point and never seen that phrase before until these moments. Yeah,
I'm telling you, they knew that the X-Men were going to come back at some point.
They're like, and then one day they'll invent this thing called a trade paperback, and when they collect them, people will be like, "Holy shit!" Okay, Captain the Malkin and the America before. Okay, Captain America and the Falcon number 75 Before the Dawn, written by Steve Englehart, drawn by Sal Buscema, inked. He's been doing the rest. I don't know why I said it like that. Inked by Vinny Coletta, the mobster.
Exciting.
Lettered by Artie Simak, colored by Pete Goldberg, and edited by Roy Thomas. The mysterious number 1, Lords Over an Unconscious Cap. This was also released April of 1974. The mysterious number 1, Lords Over an Unconscious Cap, Falcon, Scott, Jean, and Xavier. They're dragged down to a dungeon where Cap comes to see number 68, so close, and another henchman leaning over him. Turns out they're not Secret Empire at all, but actually S.H.I.E.L.D. agents Gabe Jones and Peggy Carter.
What?
They're ready to help Cap escape. Cut back to the lab, where the mutant brain machine is being put into operation. Turns out it was being used to power the Secret Empire's flying saucer. The whole thing is like, oh, we'll use mutant brains to make our flying saucer fly and also have a force field. Stuff that Iron Man can just like do without using a mutant brain.
Yeah.
Lands on the lighthouse lawn. Moonstone and Quent are waiting to meet the president there. Just
scumbags.
Yeah. Out walks number 1, demanding the U.S. government's unconditional surrender. He's met with gunfire from the army, which is deflected by a force field that's also powered by mutant brain energy. Moonstone shows up to defend, but is quickly defeated by the Secret Empire's champion, the Man Menace. Loser League.
He's only named the Man Menace on the cover. He's not actually named in the comic itself. This was an editorial decision. Yeah, absolutely.
Loser League, and in the Loser League, everybody calls him the Man Menace, and he's like, that's not my name. Okay, so remember, Moonstone's in on this whole thing. It's all a ruse. He exits the ship, letting everyone know that the people in the saucer are too powerful, and there's no point in fighting. This doesn't work, Pat. This won't work. This can't work. We've seen it in the U.S. government very recently. There was this man who was like, oh, I'm a genius and I am super environmentally friendly and I can invent cars and rocket ships and stuff. And you know what? Turns out, I think this fascist leader is actually going to be good for us. And nobody was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This wouldn't work. Anyway.
Yeah. Who are you talking about?
I can't remember. Little does he know that Cap, Falcon, Scott, Jean, Xavier, Gabe Jones, and Peggy Carter have all stowed away. This is kind of like the there's a tree in the hole in the ground, and they pop out, and the X-Men run to deactivate the machine and rescue the captured mutants, while Captain America beats the ever-loving shit out of number 1 in Moonstone.
It's
defeated.
No contest.
Yeah, they don't even a little bit stand a chance. Defeated, Moonstone accidentally reveals to the national news that he and the Secret Empire have been colluding to ruin Captain America and take over the United States. And then because he accidentally revealed that, he just goes on to start telling everything. He's like, fuck it.
He's like,
It's over.
shit, I'm on the news. Well, let me say, here's another thing I've been meaning to talk about.
And they seem
I don't want
to
to get
film
political.
They seem to film him for like 20 minutes straight. Cap is cleared and the whole country loves him again. It's that quick. But Cap's not satisfied because everyone forgot to tie up number 1. He runs for the Oval Office, but Cap catches up and unmasks him, revealing him to be some powerful man who wasn't satisfied with his riches and influence. The mysterious man promptly shoots himself in the Oval Office in the White House. The world is happy, but Steve Rogers is sad. The end. Go ahead, Pat. Ask the question that the exact question I'm sure everybody had when they finished this issue.
Was that supposed to be the president at the end there?
It was 100% Richard Nixon, right? Like this is
It's actual
metaphor.
Richard Nixon.
This has all been a Richard Nixon metaphor. That is 100% Richard Nixon. Steve Englehart wrote Richard Nixon in a supervillain costume, hopping out of a flying saucer powered by 9 mutants, running into the Oval Office and shooting himself in the head in front of Captain America.
Incredible. And he's not allowed to say the name Richard Nixon. He's not even allowed to say the president, right? Cap unmasks him and he's like, you. And then the guy's like, yes, but I wasn't satisfied with all the power that I had.
High political office didn't satisfy
it should
me.
Be,
yeah.
Oh, but high political office didn't satisfy me.
Now you have to go back and say now it's all the stuff about the mutants, like, we've got to make sure Cyclops is captured. Quick, hook the Blob up to my mutant machine.
I've got very little time for this, number 9.
Oh man, your Richard Nixon impression is so much better than mine.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's Richard Nixon. Yeah.
Here's a question, because we get a nice tight.
I have to keep going here because why does the rest of the Marvel universe not talk about that forever? Remember the time when the president shot himself in the head in front of Cap, and Captain America was the only one in the office with him.
And we're all pretty sure Captain America was the good guy here, even though 5 minutes earlier he was a criminal.
But he was a criminal on the run from the law for weeks, and then he was alone in the office with the president and walked out and said, he shot himself in the head.
Where did he get his start again?
Why is nobody else talking about this?
Probably because it would besmirch the good reputation of Steve Rogers. Legitimately, it would be that anybody in a position to worry about it would be like, but Captain America would not do that. He wouldn't shoot the president.
And you know who would? Richard Nixon. Yeah. It is also wild that Richard Nixon didn't commit suicide in real life.
Yeah, he lived for like too long.
Yeah.
I don't wish death upon people, but that guy, just the way he looked, you would have assumed would have died shortly after that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he should have. I'm saying it is weird that he didn't.
Matt, can I ask? So we get a nice tight wrap up for Captain America. He is no longer a fugitive. He can go back to his life. He and Sam Wilson. Did the government do anything about the mutant hunt? It's sort of a two-pronged approach here. The X-Men helped Captain America clear his name. Captain America
did nothing.
Does nothing else.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This was a weird. it's such a good idea. I think we're just going to transition kind of into final thoughts here, right? Because this is
Yeah,
such a
sure.
this is such a good idea to like, okay, we have these characters, we're doing nothing with them. What if we create this across multiple writers, across multiple titles? We create this big overarching story. They just like pop up in the back of other people's books, and they are following a story. That's such a good idea. And at the same time, they're sort of doing the first big Captain America story, like the first real big one, right? The Secret Empire saga. And to tie them together is such a good idea, and yet the X-Men come out just like completely unaffected, right? It's just kind of like nothing about their overall continuity is affected by this.
Yeah, it does. I mean, aside from the Beast being a big hairy monster now.
You're right. I guess that is part of this story, right? Because he is being pursued by Linda Donaldson at the time. That is also really cool that they tied it into Amazing Adventures.
Yeah. Amazing Adventures ties
into
the Avengers, which also ties into Captain America and the Falcon. And this is an era where they were being very intentional about that, where they were saying like, and we'll see this go a little nuts in the Claremont era, but this is not Stanley, I guess at this point, Roy Thomas.
Stanley's off in Hollywood trying to get movie deals and failing.
Right. And Roy Thomas is sitting in the bullpen, the Marvel bullpen, and just making sure that everybody understands what the other is writing and how it should affect their current story.
Right.
So for a little while, it really works for the entire Marvel comic universe.
It is, it's interesting. I wish that it was a little more consequential, right? Like I wish we would have seen the X-Men really being the X-Men. We don't.
Yeah. It's a lot of chatting and then one fiery blast out of Scott's eyes.
Yeah. And even the chatting is mostly from Professor Xavier, right? Like Marvel Girl and Cyclops don't have a lot of lines. Iceman, Angel just disappear. Besides the Beast stuff from last episode, like there's just very little. Not
much like Hawkeye. Matt, we're not in a great place right now.
Our energy was a little better this time, Pat.
Yeah. I was all coked up for this one. I had a Coca-Cola right before we recorded.
Oh, okay. I mean, because I feel like the last episode, we were sort of just like, if we were feeling the cancellation of the X-Men, right? We were kind of just like, oh, man, there's... it does not feel like we're following a story. It feels like we're bouncing around between weird shit. And
at one point you said, Pat, this feels fucking rudderless. Honestly, I don't think that's changed. This still feels like they are thinking of something and we're just not getting to see it. The writers are thinking of something and we're just not getting to see it.
Which, it's weird for this podcast. I wonder how it felt for X-Men fans at the time, if there were still any,
Right. Were people still holding out hope here 2 years later, 4 years later?
And it was their worst selling. It was their worst selling title when it got canceled. So maybe there just weren't X-Men fans.
I mean, technically the Rawhide Kid was their worst selling title, but... That is actually still being published at this time in 1974.
It's not till the X-Men come back and start dominating the sales charts that they're like, maybe we should cancel the Rawhide Kid.
Maybe we can let go of the Rawhide Kid. No, I am largely with you here, Matt. This feels very... they've got a cohesive story here, right? The issues we read last episode were kind of loose aside from the Amazing Adventures Beast story, but this very very much feels boring.
It's sleepy. At least, like, I'm sure that it seems like the Captain America team is excited, about what they're doing with Captain America, right? They seem pumped.
Yes.
But as far as the X-Men are concerned, it's just it's sleepy, it's lackluster. They even bring all the mutants together.
You know what it is?
They can't do anything with them. No one shatters the machine and has like Eunice and the Blob and the Master like jumping in to fight the bad guys. Like that doesn't happen. You have this amazing opportunity here and you just fucking do nothing with it.
You know what it is, Matt? They're not weird. Like the Amazing Adventures Beast story, that was fucking bizarre. Weird. That was so strange, and like they were kind of pushing boundaries while still staying within them. This is just, I mean, the Avengers, Captain America, these are your pop comic books of the day, right? These are the ones that they know are going to sell, and they're just trying to. I mean, it's not to discredit Steve Englehart. He's doing creative stuff here, but yeah, it's just not that strange. It's very, very formulaic.
And maybe that's what was throwing us off about. Like we had comments about the tone of the Avengers. I went on that thing about, is this supposed to be comedy with Captain America? Maybe we're just thrown off because we're used to the energy of the X-Men and we don't have it. And it's fucking up our energy. We don't know how to do this podcast without the X-Men.
Sure. Matt, have we mentioned that we actually have to extend the Dark Era to another episode?
Yeah, there's just too much. There was a lot in the Dark Era. I think our next, I
mean, we covered 9 comics in this episode,
and it feels like it. No, I hope it doesn't. But it's a long episode. Pat, just give me a steals and deals.
Oh, I can give you a steals and deals, and this one's nice and tight, Matt. Very concise.
Okay.
Another little classified ad that you find on those pages of 30 to 50 ads. This one says, attract the opposite sex. Send stamped envelope. Box 296, West Covina, California, 91790.
Okay, hold on. Why don't we... All right.
You want to Google that address?
Why don't you read the... What's a P.O. box? We can't... Why? Okay, you didn't read the ad, though. You just read, like...
Okay. Let me read you the full contents of the ad here.
Thank you. Okay.
Attract the opposite sex. Send stamped envelope. Box 296, West Covina, California, 91790.
Okay. But what is it selling? What is it doing?
It's send a stamped envelope, Matt.
What'll it do if I send the stamped envelope?
You'll attract the opposite sex. They're going to send you back something that makes you irresistible to the opposite sex.
Attract the opposite sex, send stamped envelope. All right, well, that's Pat's steals and deals.
The word count on this is 13 if we include the full P.O. box address.
Oh my god.
When you buy a classified ad, do they charge you for the words in your address? That seems unfair, right? These people are in West Covina. That's a whole extra word just to list your address.
Yeah, like we moved to Sacramento so that we could save
on our classified ads. Send stamped envelope.
Attract the opposite sex. And why include the attract opposite sex? Send stamped envelope.
I love this one. This is a good find.
Wow. So this is West Covina. So I guess this is how Rebecca Bunch found her ex-boyfriend.
Who?
Let's go, bub.
Yes.
Did you ever see Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It took place in West Covina. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Email us if you want to email Pat's email corner. Write us at mutantmenacepod@gmail.com. Start your email with, "Hey Pat, tell Matt."
If you send us just your name,
we will still say Pete's name in the beginning.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Mutant Menace Pod.
Mm-hmm. You might get one more episode where you have a chance to enter our drawing to end up on the podcast.
Yeah, we're extending it due to popular demand.
If after this episode, right after you listen to this, if you email us, we'll put you in the drawing to co-host our bonus episode. What do we fucking call it?
Our retrospective.
The story so far.
Big thanks to Krills Wilson for the opening theme. Big thanks to Matt Allcamp for Pat's email corner theme. And big thanks to Julia Selly for providing the voice of Trish Dilby.
Actually, I'm not playing the piano in that clip. I found it on like a copyright free sounds website. All right. Well, Pat, that leaves only one thing. The thing we say at the end of every single episode. As always, pal, I don't care if you're Henry Kissinger in disguise.
And now that that's done, I've got to be saying goodbye, because not only am I slightly antisocial, but it's already hours past my bedtime.